So IUCN is the International Union for Conservation of Nature. I am the director for the Global Water Program in IUCN. We're an environmental organization. Our focus is on biodiversity and on the sustainable use and equitable use of natural resources. So with water, we expect that to achieve outcomes for conservation of nature, we need to also address people's needs for water. The two things go hand in hand. So we run programs around the world to try and improve solutions for water for people alongside water for nature. So in the coming 15-20 years, we will be working in the era of the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. And there is a Sustainable Development Goal on water. And it calls for the world to solve water supply issues for people, and it calls for the world to restore and manage nature in order to provide for both ecosystems and species and wildlife and their needs, but also ensure that there is the provision of water for people. So in IUCN, our vision is that we want these agendas to come together. We want there to be a single agenda in which in the world's development movement we are incorporating and addressing sustainable ecosystems and biodiversity in order to deliver good, sustainable outcomes for development for everybody. Yeah, it's a very important point. So IUCN is actually a union of governments and of NGOs. We bring those communities together under the umbrella of IUCN. And every 4 years, IUCN adopts resolutions. Those two bodies within IUCN, they adopt resolutions. And in our last members' assembly, they adopted a resolution, an IUCN resolution on the human right to water and sanitation. Now, we're an environmental organization. So what, therefore, is our role in delivering that human right to water and sanitation? And this speaks directly to the future agenda for the Sustainable Development Goals. The role of IUCN is to ensure that there's a healthy environment, well-functioning ecosystems that continue to sustainably supply good, clean water resources so that people can meet in cities, in rural areas, people can have their human right to water supply and sanitation met. My background is in agriculture and forestry and ecology. So water resource management is what I work on. And my interests really are very much on looking at water as a system, and then how we can practically manage water as a system so that we can simultaneously solve problems related to water security, to food security and agriculture, to biodiversity conservation, to sustainable development and sustainable energy systems, for example. In my view, these things come together. But we have to be able to work with them very practically. So my background is as a scientist, but in my work, more and more now, my interests are about how do we practically solve problems on the ground that make a real difference to people. And that's what we try to do in IUCN by pulling these pieces together.